here I am, no husband, no job, a ton of bills to pay. And I just sat down and cried.
Yeah.
And I finally, one of my good girlies came over, because I'm still sick, by the way. I was sick for 6 weeks straight. They thought I had all manner of diseases and leprosy or something. But, but my good girlie came over and she was like, "You're so much stronger than you have any idea. You're much stronger than you know. No one's coming for you." She's like, "You told me that how many times? So I'm going to tell you, no one's coming. Stand up, and get moving." And in that moment, I'm like, you're right. Nobody's coming for me.
Yeah.
This fairy tale life is not for me. Not that I don't deserve to have a partner, but to go about it as a broken person, I was going to get another broken person, or I was going to get someone else that was going to break me. And it was about time that I got up on my own white horse and I got off and rode off into the sunset, off on my own adventure, not worried about what everybody else thought.
Yeah.
So that's when it started. That's when I started going within and started meditating and just finding out who Lisa honestly was. Because I had been a mother and a grandmother and a this and a that and a wife and a that, da, 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 da. I didn't know who I was. And when I found her, she's wonderful.
The universe is whispering. It's whispering. It's turning up the volume. It's turning up the volume. We know, like, if we're really, really honest with ourselves, we know, like, oh, this really isn't working for me. You know, when I really check in with me, but we're kind of bought into the idea of whatever it is that we're buying into. And so it can be too painful or difficult to really, really get honest with ourselves. And so as the universe turns up the volume, sometimes it's a spiritual eviction. It's a holy eviction where it's like, okay, like you're not hearing, you're not getting the message. So boom, there goes your husband. Boom, there goes your job. Boom, there goes all this. Right? It's like this big kind of clearing that comes in to give us this opportunity to ride.
All my life, having been raised in the charismatic non-denominational Christian church, we believed in there's kind of the spiritual side of church, right? So so I understood, I had a basic understanding of how that whole thing could work, and that I realized that I was dying spiritually.
Yeah.
And that was killing me physically. So, but the old things that I used to do to revive myself, to resurrect myself, weren't working. It wasn't working. It just didn't hold enough for me. And that's when I realized, you know, there's more. There's more to me. There's more to this than what I've been told and taught. And I absolutely had to find it. Interestingly enough, I started finding it through my counselor at the time, who was helping me through all of this. But one of our first sessions, I went to her and I sat down, and she was already, Anne was in her late 60s, early 70s by this point. She was still working at the time. And I said, "You have something else." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "There's something else you do." And she was just kind of sat back and looked, and she was like, "Well, you really are as intuitive as I thought you were when I first met you." And I'm like, yeah, you know, because I get tired of hearing, I hear that all the time. Yeah. Give me the goods. What are you holding back from me? What do you know to do that I have no clue? And she introduced me to meditation, and she introduced me to chakras, and she introduced me to this whole thing that I had been told was bad. And I'm like, what? I always thought something else was here, you know? And that just opened me up to finding and discovering my divinity. When we don't do our work, when we don't do our shadow work, if you will, our healing work, what happens is that toxicity becomes rooted and grounded within us. And then it begins to permeate our entire being. And our energy is our emotions. And so especially when when you have an empath, a feeler,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yeah.
get with, the dreaded narcissist, um, what happens is that exacerbates the pain that's within us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so busy trying to fix them, and we
Mm-hmm.
get so depleted of all of our good, healthy energy, right? Because we're
Yeah.
not getting any back. We're out of balance. Shadow energy, or the energy that's kind of down in our lower three chakras, right? Hurt, pain, all of that. That's dense energy. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that that's energy that actually is looking to be set free
Mm-hmm.
and elevated.
Yeah.
So as we do our work, we just set more of who we are free, and we allow
Mm-hmm.
it to then go back through our body again, because our
Mm-hmm.
cellular body responds to the internal energy.
Mm-hmm. I
So we
love
elevate ourselves. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I love the idea of alchemizing, right?
Yes.
As we are holding space for our experiences to emerge within us, right? As we're having the courage, because it does take courage, let's be clear, to look at those denser experiences that maybe we've been carrying
Yeah.
up until this point. We then have an opportunity to really glean the learnings and the lessons, release the parts that don't serve us, and truly transform those experiences so that that flow of energy and vitality becomes available to us.
Yes, precisely. And we
Yeah.
elevate ourselves. It's
Yeah.
like, living in a raised ranch, right? Home. So you
Mm.
get above the floodplain because you've raised up
Mm-hmm.
the foundation of the house 3 feet. So it's not that those things never happened to us, but, and it's not that those types of people and energy will never come across your path again. But now, when you raise yourself up like that, when
Mm-hmm.
they come in the space, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
the same response to them. Why? Because
Yeah.
I'm not drawing them in anyway. I've always had mentors, even in the corporate space, that taught me skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
They saw a natural ability and they taught me skills that then helped me elevate my career. And it is the same way in life, just in general. And
Mm-hmm.
definitely if you're in like a healing or counseling space, to really attract in, draw in, we can all manifest the right mentor or mentors, the right guides,
Mm-hmm.
to help us elevate, to help us to hone our skills, if you will, because all of us have raw talent.
And so, Lisa, to kind of bring it in for a landing here, just is
Yeah.
there anything left that you would love to speak into the space, and or any last words for my community from your heart to theirs?
No one's coming to save you, but you don't need anyone to. You are more than enough, beautifully and wonderfully and powerfully created. I believe in you. You believe in you too.
Mm. And I am fully receiving that, fully receiving that. And so, Lisa, thank you so much for this beautiful, juicy, uplifting conversation, for sharing parts of your story that you haven't spoken into the space before. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. And to my listeners, my community, mm, I love you. I hope you
Love you
know you
too.
are amazing. You are
Love you
phenomenal. You are
too.
wonderful. You are talented. You are worthy, and you deserve to live a life that you love. And I'll catch you next time.